With this being the first Skyrim video that I've done on the channel, I figured I would go ahead and try to use something that I've never really used in any playthrough of Skyrim ever, that being conjured weapons. While I know a few of them are pretty strong, like Bound Bow, I'm mostly going to be using Bound Sword for this playthrough. So, can you beat Skyrim with only using conjured weapons? First things first was to, of course, make my character. I picked a Breton since they start with the highest amount of conjuration, and that would be useful for this playthrough. And then sat through, of course, the boring-ass Skyrim opening. That might be an unpopular opinion, I'm not sure, I don't play Skyrim all that much, but I really don't like these boring-ass introductions where I have to sit through the cutscenes and just basically sit here until they let me play the game. Although getting saved by Alduin is always pretty cool, with the meteors raining down and having to fight through guards and such, although for this challenge, I'm not allowed to do that. I went into the keep with Rayloff and just pretty much let him beat the shit out of everybody because I obviously couldn't, as I didn't have a bound weapon yet, so that I could use, conjured weapons for the run. Of course, I did steal pretty much everything off of the corpses because I needed money to get bound weapon later on. There are some placed in the world, but I don't really have the game knowledge to know exactly where, and I didn't really feel like spending all that time walking to it when I could just, go to Whiterun and buy it off of Sovngarde, since he does indeed sell bound tomes occasionally, and I did get lucky once I got there. I did stop in Riverrun and talk to Sven so that I could deliver the letter to Camilla. Of course, not before I sold off all of the stuff in my inventory, because I had a whole lot of shit that was, plaguing my inventory and weighing me down. The town got attacked by wolves for some reason, and Arvor actually died, which I didn't know could happen. I thought he was essential. After that, I delivered the letter, let Sven know because I wanted the nice, sweet gold from it. I thought it was going to be more than 25, but oh well. Anyways, I continued my journey towards Whiterun, stealing some crops along the way because I could either eat them or sell them for gold later, had I, needed it. At this point, I had just enough, hopefully, to buy one of the tomes, so I headed immediately for Dragon's Reach so that I could pop in and buy Bound Sword from Sovngarde. I debated a little bit on whether I should buy Bound Sword or Bound Battle Axe, but I figured why not just buy Bound Sword, as I'm usually a one-handed supremacist when it comes to Skyrim. There's a joke hidden in that. I'm not going to be the one to make it. I didn't intend to make a joke when I said that, but you know what, it's there now. Anyways, I tested out Bound Sword on a couple bandits before heading over to Bleak Barrow. It was surprisingly effective. I'm not sure the actual base damage of conjured weapons. I'm not sure if they scale with your stats. I'm not sure if, leveling up one-handed and increasing one-handed weapon damage increases the damage of conjured weapon, or if it only increases it if you level up conjuration. I don't really know how these things work. I just think that they look absolutely badass, and when I played through Skyrim last, I picked up one and just used it for a few minutes and thought it was pretty cool, and I thought about, hey, let's do a challenge run with it since I've never really used it before. So, here we are. Of course, going through Bleak Barrow, there's a whole lot of enemies to fight, whether it be bandits, Draugr, the big-ass spider. There's plenty of things in here that want to kill you and probably use you for food. The Draugr, maybe not so much. I'm not sure if they commit cannibalism or not, but they, weren't that challenging. Draugr Overlord ended up nearly dying before he even got out of his casket, which was pretty funny to me, although that's very common, I feel like, whenever you play through Skyrim, to just absolutely nuke the Draugr Overlord and grab the Dragonstone before he's even really sure what's happening. After that, I headed back to Whiterun so that I could deliver off the Dragonstone. I basically just went to Bleak Barrow without telling them that I was gonna go there and, grab the item first because I wanted to skip as much dialogue as humanly possible. Skyrim is a little more open-ended than Fallout 4 in terms of how you can, proceed the game and if you can skip things, but there's really not a whole lot you can skip in this game. Although I've never really actually tried it, I'm not sure if you can just skip clear to grabbing the horn, or if you actually have to go meet the Greybeards or anything, and that kind of makes me want to try that next time I do a Skyrim video. But after this challenge run, I'm actually more interested in doing Skyrim videos. Normally whenever I try to record a Skyrim video, something goes terribly wrong that makes me just give up on the challenge, and I usually just scrap it altogether. But this run went so well, in fact, I only had one quest that really gave me an issue. Spoiler alert, it was the, Civil War meeting, which is notoriously buggy. But other than that, there really was no issues on this run, especially with the ridiculous amounts of mods that I'm running to make the game more difficult. But ignoring that, we're going to go back to, the story at hand. I talked to a child, gave them a gold piece, and then told them that I wouldn't be adopting them, and just let them, kind of suffer with the thought that somebody was nice enough to donate to them, but didn't want to be their father. I then headed up to High Hrothgar because I needed to meet with the Greybeards. On the way there, I got bullied by a couple wolves, among other random entities, and had to stab a puppy to death with a sword that is made out of souls. I don't actually know what the bound weapons are made out of, and that's got me curious now. Anyways, I had to scream at some old men and go through a little initiation ritual in their weirdly sex dungeon looking building, so that was fun. Once that was done, they wanted me to go find some dude's sex toy so that I could bring it back to them as proof of something or other. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. Can we take a minute to just appreciate how nice carriages are in Skyrim? Could you imagine if Fallout 4 had a system where you could just, travel to any of the major settlements pretty much immediately? Like, if you could take a fucking, I don't know, a Deathclaw with a saddle from Conjured to Diamond City, or from Conjured to, Boston Airport or something without having to walk all the way there, that would be so badass. But, it's Fallout. But anyways, I just want to take a moment to appreciate how amazing the carriages are in Skyrim. I absolutely love being able to just fast travel to pretty much any major city and really cut down on my walking time during a challenge. Anyways, once I was in Ustengrav, I almost forgot the name of this place for a minute, I just had to fight through a bunch of Draugr as well as a couple necromancers before finding out that somebody stole this dude's sex toy, and I would have to go talk to them back in Riverwood. Which, that's Skyrim for you. I gotta go talk to people, and talk to more people, and talk to more people, and then stab a couple people, and then stab a dragon, etc., etc. That's pretty much the plot of Skyrim, if I sum it up, I guess. If you want to dumb it down that much. Anyways, ignoring that, I spent some time disenchanting gear so that I could level up enchanting for no real reason after I was done talking to Delphine. I enchanted a few items during this run, but it wasn't really noticeable. It was mostly just for shit like extra magicka regeneration or extra health, so it wasn't really, needed, I guess. I headed off to the Burial Mound so that I could kill the dragon with Delphine to prove to her that I was Dragonborn, which of course meant beating the dragon to death with her assistance, and then, once it was dead, I had to perform the ancient Dragonborn ritual of giving the dragon that good suck. I don't know why I had to make that. You know what? We're gonna move on from that. Anyways, after that, I headed back to High Hrothgar because something or other with the Greybeards. I guess I had to go talk to Parthenax or something. They let me absorb some ancient knowledge from their brains, which, again, this entire game just kind of feels weird if you take it out of context. How would you feel just, telling somebody that a bunch of old men made you absorb their ancient knowledge in a stone room that kind of resembles a sex dungeon? Yeah. Anyways, I had to then go to the Thalmor Embassy, which, of course, I wasn't going to go through here quietly. Me and Stealth don't really get along that well whenever I play through games that let me beat people with a soul made of ghost ectoplasm or something. Anyways, the Thalmor used bound weapons of their own, which I thought was interesting because it obviously meant that mine was better if I was able to kill them. My armor was worse than theirs, my weapon was better, so that means that I win in every conceivable scenario. The Thalmor are honestly really not that hard. Sometimes I struggle with them in a playthrough, sometimes I don't. I just guess this playthrough was pretty easy considering bound weapon isn't really a piece of equipment, it's a spell. So it doesn't really have to, weigh in on your equipment level if you have to, only pick a certain amount of things to take in with Melbourne, because sometimes I do end up struggling with that on a regular playthrough because I have so much shit on me that I just am too attached to. I'm kind of a hoarder. So, I end up having to leave something behind and then remembering that it was integral to my character and I needed it, and then I struggle with the Thalmor Embassy. But this time around, I did not. I went and found Esbern, escorted him out of the Ratway, and headed back to Riverwood to talk to Delphine. Again, more dialogue. Once that was done, I was off to Skyhaven Temple to become an emo Dragonborn for a few minutes, before then heading back off to, of course, the Greybeards, again, for more dialogue. This time around, it was actually to meet Parthenax. I don't know why I thought it was that last time. I kind of forget the entire plot of this game when I'm not playing it, to be honest. But this time, I was climbing to the throat of the world so that I could talk to Parthenax, who would basically just tell me that I needed to go do something else and talk to more people. I really never realized how much talking there was in this game until I just sat down and played through it all at once in one day without, getting lost or going and doing needless side content or spending 3 hours smithing a bunch of daggers to power level my smithing skill. Yeah, honestly, whenever I play through Skyrim, I'm pretty sure the main story is like the only thing I don't do, so this was kind of surprising to just sit down and play through all at once. Anyways, Parthenax told me that I needed to piss off and go find an Elder Scroll so that I could learn the Dragonrend shout, so I went to the College of Winterhold, which was pretty boring. We're going to skip over all the dialogue here and go to when I needed to go find Septimus Cygnus, who was out in the middle of nowhere. Of course, once I'd found him, I obviously spent time bullying his pets nearby that tried to attack me. I don't know why they were hostile. I don't remember if these are hostile or not normally, but we're going to move on. This is, of course, the start of all the Dwemer stuff for the main campaign, which is honestly not as bad as people say it is. Like, yeah, it's kind of boring just walking through this area killing enemies, but for me, I'm not really interested in, like, world storytelling when it comes to Skyrim. Like, I know that's like a cardinal sin to say, but whenever I play through Skyrim, I'm always usually just doing combat or something. Like, that's where the most fun comes for me, realistically, is I just enjoy going around killing stuff and leveling up and building my character and doing all that kind of stuff. So this place never really bothered me all that much. There's a whole lot of stuff in here to kill, and it has, in my opinion, one of the prettiest areas in the game right after you get through the main little tomb entrance. I did get harassed by enemies here pretty badly. There was a lot of really high level enemies here, I'm assuming from one of my difficulty mods, so I just ran past all of them and made it to the puzzle so that I could, get the Elder Scroll and then fuck off from the temple. Once I went back to Parthenax, I read the Elder Scroll and then got sent to a really long, boring cutscene. I kind of forgot this was a thing, to be honest. I don't know why I always remembered Skyrim as just reading the Elder Scroll and then instantly having Dragonrend and fighting Alduin. Yeah, no, that's not the thing. You have to sit through like a 5-minute cutscene of just Alduin basically telling people to have a skill issue and then just yeeting them off a mountain before you get Dragonrend, before you can then, use Dragonrend and fight Alduin. So that's what I did. I sat through the cutscene, came back, and Alduin was chipping away at my health. I got back right in time, so I started using Dragonrend, knocked him to the ground, beat the shit out of him with a ghost sword, and then dealt with all of his dialogue before having to obviously do the worst part of Skyrim, which is the Peace Council. I despise this part of the entire game. I really don't care about the whole, Civil War thing, I've played the quest lines and they're fun. Like, the respective quests are fun, but this specific main quest of just having to sit through a 15-minute section of dialogue is probably the worst thing in the game for me. I absolutely hate that, and it didn't help that mine got bugged and I had to wait a solid 30 minutes for the meeting to even start when I sat in my chair due to a bug, so that was wonderful. Anyways, after that, I bullied Udaving so that he would take me to Skuldavn so that I could work my way to Sovngarde and finally kill Alduin, which, of course, I did not fight any of the enemies outside of Skuldavn. This place is usually terrifying to me, normally, because of the amount of enemies. Couple that with my difficulty mods that overhaul a lot of the enemies or just straight up add new varieties that are way harder than they deserve to be in vanilla, it becomes pretty much a nightmare. I got trapped in this room with a shit ton of Draugr and burned through 3/4 of my healing items just dealing with them all because some of them were extremely high level and did way too much damage. The rest of Skuldavn, though, was pretty simple. I either ran past enemies or just had to do puzzles with a couple enemies and then made it to Sovngarde. Sovngarde is absolutely beautiful. I love this place. I wish that there was more to it, honestly. I wish that there was more quests or something here, or maybe a DLC about it. But, again, that's just opinionated. After I beat the shit out of Sun, I went and talked to the heroes, and then we went off to shout at the sky together, which I'm sure is a great bonding exercise. Once that was done, though, I got to finally start fighting Alduin. This fight was absolutely depressing. Once he landed on the ground, I'm pretty sure he didn't leave the ground. He just died, almost immediately. We were all doing so much damage that the fight was over in 20 seconds. It was kind of depressing. But with that, I did beat Skyrim with only conjured weapons. This playthrough was insanely fun. I highly recommend you to try it out if you seem interested in conjured weapons. This playthrough was probably the most fun I've had playing through Skyrim's main story in a long time. So yeah, if you guys are into the idea, give it a try. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, leave your suggestions in the comments below. I enjoy reading each and every one of them, and hopefully adding new things to my list of stuff to do. Thank you guys so much for the support lately. The channel has been growing steadily, and it's all thanks to you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.